All right, now we're broadcasting to all the socials. How about that? How are you?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. And so for those that don't know who's on, they should know who's on, but this is Miss Michelle Accardi, the CEO of Liongard. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining me. Yeah,
thanks. It's a pleasure to be on with the channel program. You guys do such great work in the ecosystem, and we love being a partner.
awesome. I appreciate that. So like there's, we're gonna talk about some, I think, pretty interesting topics on this podcast. One of which certainly is RoarCon coming up, which we're all pretty darn excited about. But also kind of want to dig into a little bit of your background and talk about kind of the platform that you guys have. And then really just this concept of mitigating or kind of understanding your attack surface. Because I spent, I don't know, last 15 years prior to channel program, via ID agent and previous consulting firm, thinking all things attack surface and how to mitigate risk. And so I think this will be a pretty fun conversation. So you're
Yeah,
ready to.
absolutely. I don't know if you know my background, but I was an MSP. I used to be CEO of a large roll-up PE-backed MSP called Logically. And boy, did I get an education about attack surface through that, and understanding where our customers were feeling a level of needing security, and Logically was a security-focused MSP. So that gave me a really good context coming into Liongard around where I think there's value for customers and for MSPs to create growth, profit, and sanity. And I'm really excited about RoarCon because we're really going to be teaching that concept of how leveraging an attack surface management platform, you truly can have growth, profit, and sanity for your business. And for those that don't know what attack surface management is, if you don't mind, I'll just give it a 30-second teaser of what it is. So
Jump right in. Yeah.
understanding what is in your IT asset inventory. And it can't just be, oh, I'm just looking at my cloud assets, 365 or Google Workspace or AWS or Azure. It can't just be looking there. It's got to be looking at cloud and your network assets, so your firewalls, et cetera, and then down to your workstation. So how do you automate your IT asset inventory so you understand what's your entire attack surface? Like where are the vectors of risk? And then how do you go a level deeper and go into the configuration state and what's changing that can create areas of vulnerability for you? So that is what an attack surface management capability is understanding and helping you automate that IT asset inventory, helping you understand what's changing in that configuration state that creates vulnerabilities. And that's where Liongard really shines, but we take it a step further. So we then map that into a cyber risk dashboard. It shows your customers and yourself, because we do like our partners to actually leverage us internally as well. But to help put that into a dashboard that's tied to cyber insurance controls. So you know what your cyber posture is and the cyber posture of your customers tied to those things that would affect them if they were to have a breach. You want to be able to say, yes, MFA is really turned on for all of my customers, users. Yes, we have backups running. Yes, there's EDR on all of these machines. All of those things are requirements for your cyber insurance. But how do you know? How do you know if you don't have an attack surface management platform that is showing you that level of detail? And a lot of, it's shocking to me how many people don't have that level of, and that's why Liongard exists, to give you I like to say that helps your service delivery and NOC teams and SOC teams have the sanity, because now they're not just hoping and wishing, they can actually see whether those things are in place.
Yeah. So look, you've been in the tech space for X number of years, quite a few years, right? You've got a very storied career, I think pretty long stint at CA. And so, going from CA, and then I know you had a couple stops along the way as kind of president of some other organizations, and there's some exits. But it's specifically between Logically, kind of mentioned it, but between Logically and Liongard. Logically right? You are managing at scale. You're kind of a massive monolith type of MSP. You've got smaller clients, but then you have pretty sophisticated clients when you get to be the size of a Logically, and you're getting indoctrinated into the concept of attack surface and just kind of you're looking around the corners, understanding what threats that you're not seeing day in and day out. But what was the jump from Logically to Liongard? What was there like this did it broaden your kind of I guess respect for this concept of attack surface management? Because I imagine that you've kind of now you see it at massive scale. You saw it at large scale with Logically, but now you're seeing it in mass, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, I'll go back in my history. So I had 17 years at CA Technologies. Then I was president of a UCaaS company that went to scale, from when I joined 13 million to 100 million to a $500 million exit. And when I was managing that business and we were selling managed firewall and such, and how do I know? How do I know that all of these things are actually being, handled appropriately? Unless you have that kind of a tool to, a platform that helps you really inventory all those assets in your care, and gives you visibility across all the different systems, you don't know when you're at risk. And so I just came in to Liongard with such, first of all, an understanding and idea of what would be necessary to not only get things right on the operational side, but gosh, this is a growth and money maker and a profitability maker for companies. And the reason being, because you might say, well, how? First of all, this whole concept of left of boom, like doing all the preventative maintenance, being the getting your defenses in order before boom actually happens, before an incident even occurs. You would think that that's something that's been cornerstone to every company, but it's hard. It's hard work. So a lot of companies haven't figured out that they can monetize this and they can build a practice, a managed attack surface practice. So that's one of the things that we're teaching at Liongard, because part of our core values is teach and lead, share all of those pieces around how you can actually drive growth in your business by putting, I'll just say, the good building blocks of business and security on that preventative side by having a solution that gives you that core automated IT asset inventory and view into the configuration state of all those assets. That you can charge for that. There's money to be made for that. Not only that, but there's money to be made based on project works. Like, again, there's some of our partners who want to sell it as project, like, hey, use our cyber risk dashboard for assessments. Some want to use it for VCIO and account management so that you can show the value you're providing. Others love there's additional value add in the product, like, hey, you can get warranty data out of the product. You can get the information about where things are back revved on patches or on again, just things that are out of date. Your ability to go and use that data to go and upsell and cross sell is incredible. So that's a whole growth engine that's there. And then everybody cares about operational efficiency in the MSP space. MSPs trade on EBITDA. So getting to that next percentage of EBITDA is the other thing that Liongard helps with, because not only do we speed up the time, I can't tell you how many times I had someone call and say, oh, my website's down. I don't know what happened. You can go into a Liongard and actually see, oh, somebody changed DMARC. There's the marketing team. Okay, we can fix that. But rather than having to go through logs and logs and logs, you can just go and see what changed and how fast that can go. We've seen partners who reduce their onboarding time of new clients because they're automating that IT asset inventory by up to 65%. This is big gains in efficiency. So growth, profitability, and oftentimes people think they only get for profitability by cutting things out. That's not true. You can get profitability by driving growth, which is an awesome thing that you can do. And again, just bringing more sanity to your life, so you're not, hoping that things are okay, but really seeing and having a way to tell that nothing's drifted from your IT and security policies.
Yeah, I love that actually, the way you describe that, or the mindset, because I guess in the past, these were operational tools, and you've got discovery, and you're kind of using them to kind of show what the gaps are, and almost the conversation ended there. But as MSPs mature, as they understand, to your point, you're using these platforms. It's not just, hey, just show the asset, the inventory, but it's kind of almost like a land and expand kind of mentality. But then it's also wrapped around, to your point, it's a tool that it can help you drive the bottom line. And as MSPs are becoming more sophisticated and starting to understand operational maturity, understanding even terms like EBITDA, right, how to drive growth and how to measure the bottom line. Seems like you guys have even a broader impact. It's a security platform, and it's got multiple applications, and you get almost this 360-degree view from a security standpoint. But you're also wrapping around, this is how you actually leverage it. There's a lot of training, again, from what I've seen externally, a lot of training, a lot of education. I'm sure that's a lot of what's going to happen at RoarCon. We'll talk about in a moment. But I think having that mentality, coming from the other side of the table, right, being a CEO of a large MSP, understanding like this is what it takes to get to this level, I think is certainly a benefit for your customers. And I see you guys leaning into a lot of that training and education to support your customers.
Absolutely. And it's not just me. I mean, we have hired so many people who come from an MSP background, and even our founder, Joe Alapat, who's now our chief product officer. Look, he innovated out of necessity to create Liongard for this very reason when he was an MSP. So we've got this MSP in our DNA. I'll say this idea of how our customers, our partners, what are the problems that they're struggling with, and how do we help them solve that with our platform? And we are just dedicated to working with what I like to call an outrageous sense of urgency, which is another big part of our core values, to deliver on these types of outcomes. Again, growth, profit, sanity, and everything at RoarCon that we're going to talk about is going to be centered both from our thought leadership track and our technical track around how we help MSPs in that way. And there are no questions that are, are out of band, I'll say. If because we understand that MSPs can't always be experts in everything, but we hope that we create enough of a 10x ecosystem that people can feel comfortable coming in, engaging with us and the content we have, and via our networking sessions, to really help, again, drive their business. I almost feel like, this is, I like to call it the unconference, from the perspective of, this isn't about us just talking at you. This is about our ability to get you engaged and help you. So like, hey, if you really don't understand how to drive EBITDA or what EBITDA is, let's talk about it. Not just about the acronym, but really about how do you get it? Because there are some people who will believe you can only cut your way to EBITDA, but you actually can grow your way to EBITDA. And I don't think we've done a good enough job in the vendor ecosystem to explain that. It's been more like, hey, you need to take out this product and replace with this product, or you need to, but it's like, no, there's ways to continue to grow up and show companies how that they can have a real growth method to driving that profitability approach. And again, there's also how to use data, how to create visibility across things that give sanity and aren't used as a weapon, for your operations team to say, oh, what you're not doing, but instead, how are you going to get better? That's what I'm hoping that we'll be able to really shine through at our event at RoarCon, is really helping MSPs with those kinds of problems.
What's interesting is the composition of the speakers that you have, right? It's obviously yourself, Joe's going to be there. But then you got some of the titans of the industry. You got Matt Lee, you got Wes Spencer, you've got CVC from Intiva. And so there's a really interesting, I think, mix of speakers or presenters, because you got some folks obviously talking about the platform and kind of probably what's next and kind of the vision for Liongard. But then you've got folks talking, basically at a high level and getting down to the weeds from a cybersecurity standpoint. And then you got, folks like CVC that are probably, I'm assuming, talking about it from an EBITDA, from a growth, from we're looking for when we're, looking to acquire or roll up, organizations underneath of a company like Intiva, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, like if you look at Antiva, they're one of our largest partners, both especially when they acquired the Purple Guys, who is also a partner of Liongard. They're going to talk about things from the perspective of why they leverage Liongard and how that helps them, again, be able to do acquisition faster, and be able to grow their business at the rate that they are, and do that with a level of sanity. And again, in the context of, hey, if we're going to acquire companies, how, what does it mean if they have solutions like Liongard in place to making it even easier to be a part of that level of organization. We've also got Meriplex, who's also Neil Medwed from Meriplex, who's coming in. And I don't know if we talked about I don't think we talked about our keynote either, which is pretty cool. We've got Eric O'Neill, who is, if you don't know his story, cybersecurity expert, FBI, ex-FBI operative who brought down Robert Hansen, the biggest internal mole, Russian mole. Very timely given we're in a presidential election year to have him, and he is just phenomenal. I would also tell everyone if you, I've tagged him in a number of posts talking about RoarCon on LinkedIn, and he's chatting. So just really great. I have a big question I'm going to ask if he got to choose Ryan Philippe as the person who played him in the movie Breach. But I'm sure the audience will have even more creative and better questions.
Yeah, I imagine so. And this is one of the challenges of going live. I hear a horn going off in the background, car horn. So I apologize if you can hear that or the audience can hear it. But yeah, I mean, it's oh my gosh, I can go on a whole tangent. From my father being a former NSA, working at NSA, and that whole Robert Hansen, when that thing went down, I think he about lost his mind. So that, I'm sure it's a fascinating in-person conversation, not just from the movie standpoint. So that'll be pretty cool.
FBI operatives they know lost their lives based on Robert Hansen. So I mean, the fact that again, cybersecurity interaction from the inside, having an understanding and visibility to what was happening is what helped take down him. I mean, it's I think just fascinating and a great story for us as cybersecurity practitioners around, are you making sure your threats are covered everywhere? Because, and how do you know? Again, as a CEO of a company, I have to attest to a lot of different things. I didn't have a tool that told me who's got access to things, what's changing, then my risk vector is just giant. And this is an opportunity from my perspective to see firsthand, how our government got affected, again, by maybe not having some of those controls back in the day. And our opportunity to continue to harden all of our systems and take the preventative measures that help us all sleep better at night, help me sleep better at night.
Yeah, it's not just knowing kind of, the assumptive kind of attack surface, but then it's finding the blind spots. And then to your point, right, it's the policy, it's the configuration, it's the ongoing, continuous monitoring of that I think that's the shortfall of a lot of companies, even some of the more sophisticated, security companies. And I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago, I'm trying to recall, but we're talking, about if you kind of went back maybe 5, certainly 10 years ago, there's always this kind of, all right, well, this is the security team and this is the compliance team, right? And you can be secure but not compliant, not secure, whatever. And it's like this, there's like these two, basically, two team. If you're playing a sport, right, it's offense, defense. So it was like this, left hand, right hand. They didn't really come together. But the platform that you guys have really brings that into focus, right? It's about bringing security together. It's about bringing compliance together and running that as a continuous, program. And so you saw that being a really, maybe maturing, quite well in the enterprise space 5, 6, 7 years ago. But it really, honestly, wasn't until platforms like Liongard came around and really started to look at the mid-market down into the SMB space, where you guys created an affordable platform that allowed the MSP to mature themselves and mature their customer at the same time. So you guys are like this perfect kind of intersection of the maturing of the marketplace and then the platform that that needs to be used to help mature, manage both sides of this equation. So it's a brilliant platform and brilliantly timed. I give Joe a lot of credit for that. I think well played.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very, very. I think the world of Joe and what he had put together here. And now what's really cool is it has been time to the market at this time. I mean, Gartner has coined this attack surface management area, which we never really had that area to sort of sell into, but they've put the labeling around it. They're helping to soften the market. And you're going to hear more and more companies really talk about this. And it's great for us because we were the innovators in the space. So we're really excited to just teach our MSP community how they leverage it to, again, grab and grow that growth, profit, and sanity for their business. I just think the right time, right place, right product, right people, because I mean, people are the cornerstone of this, and Liongard has some of the best. And we're also really proud of the MSP community we have. Again, having nearly 1,600 MSP partners and 70,000 plus end customers who depend on Liongard, it's huge. So I'm hopeful that that ecosystem continues to drive out that message, and we get the masses of MSPs to really come in and adopt. It's so important for your business and for your partners' businesses. I can tell you horror stories of companies who didn't have Liongard and wished that they did from issues they've had, and those that have come up to us. And I probably have seen at our trade shows, we have like the Liongard save my ass t-shirts, pardon the expression, because that's what we hear continuously. Yeah. Oh, sure. My managed backups didn't run, but I was able to go and rewind on the timeline and see what the configurations were, so we could get a customer back up and running. Oh, customer was blaming us for doing something. We were able to go back and rewind time and show them that it wasn't us, that it was an internal person, and we were able to close that gap. Or hey, these new vulnerabilities have come out. And you guys have helped us be able to understand where those unpatched systems are very quickly, so we can get them patched up. All of these types of things are the things that Liongard does on a daily basis to help our partners. So we are really excited to leverage RoarCon and this podcast to help us with continuing to get that word out.
Well, you said you had the right people, and we got a little comment from Dana Sell. So if Dana's validating that, then we're certainly in good company here. So let's talk about RoarCon. It's coming up, right? It's in July 25th. Is that right?
July 23rd. July 23rd to the 25th. We've got our pre-conference education on the 23rd, and we're super excited. It's happening at the Dallas Star, which is the Cowboys training facility. So that's super cool location. It's you can register for it by going to liongard.com/RoarCon. You can see the full agenda. I'm also launching on the tail end of RoarCon a group for female executives in the MSP ecosystem called MSP Mavens. That's going to be on the 25th in the afternoon after the conference has concluded. And we're going to create our own charter around, how we help women in the MSP space get their growth, profit, sanity, as well as their own personal and financial wellness. Because it's, having been a female leader in the MSP space, it was a little lonely at the top. And so I think that it's really important to create a sense of community, not to be exclusionary, because I love men who are huge supporters, but to really help us deal with the unique situations to being a female in the technology and specifically in the MSP space.
I love it. In fact, so we have an event coming up at the end of this month, and my daughter's 15, and she's going to join me at this event. It'll be her first, I guess, event or experience in the channel. And so, yeah, so hopefully, she progresses. Hopefully, MSP Mavens is something that she can lean on in the future as well. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, it's RoarCon is making it possible. I mean, I think that overall event is going to be just, as I said, thought leadership, and from some of the best in the industry. I mean, Matt Lee, Wes Spencer, Rob Ray. I mean, just an incredible group of people and incredible MSPs that are actually leveraging the technology. So it's not us talking at people. It's really how others are doing it. And we're going to use it not only to teach, but also to learn ourselves. Because I think that's really so important to be ultra connected to our partners.
You also have Amanda Bowman speaking, Dan Lee, you got Eric O'Neill, as you mentioned. We talked about Wes, Ian.
I mean, if you don't know Dan Lee from Red Cup, that's probably one of the smartest guys I have ever interacted with. So smart, an early adopter of Liongard. And Amanda Bowman from John Joseph Partners. If you're having a talent crisis, like you don't know where to get your resources from, that woman is amazing in the MSP space. I don't think I have worked with a recruitment firm anywhere near as good as hers. So listening to how she has developed the pipeline of candidates for the MSP business and MSP ecosystem is, I think, not to miss. And I don't think we talk about those kinds of things enough. But Amanda, ironically enough, was in an MSP space, and she actually leveraged Liongard. So she has a unique story to hear as well. And then we've just got phenomenal sponsors. We have Pax8 as our platinum sponsor, Sonic Wall as a gold sponsor, our IT by Design. Just a phenomenal lineup of sponsors who are, really investing. This isn't just about coming and, having a booth space, but really investing in helping our partners get the most out of all of their tools that obviously Liongard gives visibility into.
That's awesome. So I guess one last thing I'll say is that if you're a fan of another NFC East football team, it's okay. It's I give you the approval. I'm a fan of another NFC East team. I won't mention one publicly here, but it's okay to go to the Lions practice facility. I think it's going to be sounds like it's going to be a pretty awesome day or a couple of days. So
it'll be, don't hold the Cowboys against me. I'm personally a Buccaneers fan, but I will tell you this, their training facility is out of this world. And we're going to get to tour it. So, it'll be a great, everything's done a little bit bigger in Texas. So, come and enjoy, regardless of who your favorite team is. I'm Team Liongard, and that's what that event's going to be all about. So liongard.com/RoarCon. We'd love to get you registered.
Awesome. We'll put some links in the show notes. We'll put it out in the socials, and if you have a follow-up on the MSP Mavens as well, I mean, that would be, we'll get some links in there as well. I mean, it sounds like, this is what's great about our industry, right? It's certainly, we're out there to tackle some hard problems, and we're out there to, grow our businesses, both the vendors and the MSPs, but, the ability to come together and give back like this and really create an event centered around education, because that's a lot of that was lost over the last couple of years. A lot of it's just been, product. And certainly that's an element of what some of these events are, but really bringing in some of these speakers and talking about all aspects of not just security, but then, as we talked about, growth and what that looks like and scaling businesses. I think this is going to be a pretty fantastic event. So we're we're pretty darn excited for you as well. So this will be cool.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Really appreciate it. Looking
You
forward to
got it.
seeing you there.
You got it.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for joining me, Michelle. And said we'll have some links out in the show notes. And looking forward to a great event here coming up July 23rd to the 25th.
Thanks again. Bye all.
Thanks. There we